So, I just got back from a debate tournament a few days ago, and during the award ceremony of the debate tournament, we were thanking the tournament director for all the work that she'd done. And she got up and she was kind of being grateful for all the thanks that we've given her, and adding, perhaps to deflect and perhaps to really appreciate, I think a bit of both. She said, I want to acknowledge all the secret things that people have done that nobody saw, all the work behind the scenes, all the hidden help that went into it, because she couldn't do this alone, but there's all sorts of things that people did that nobody saw, and she wants to thank people for all these things. Now, not to contradict Mrs. Cloutier or anything, but I had a thought then, that perhaps the secret things ought to remain secret, and the unseen things ought to remain unseen. Perhaps there's a sacredness about the sacrifices that happen that nobody sees, and that to mention them is almost an offense to them. It's as if the king is walking about in his own country in disguise, and you proclaim his coming, which is an offense to the king who does not want to be seen. That the secret things are done in secret, and that they ought to be secret. I remembered of Matthew 6:6, where Christ says that when you pray, don't be as the hypocrites who stand on the street corners, but go into your room in secret and pray to your Father who is in secret. And what he sees done in secret, he will reward. Now, we've also thought about, well, what about when you see the sacrifice that someone has done for you? And the first thing I thought about was Christ. But then I realized, I think that Christ's sacrifice was itself a kind of secret. Because when Christ was on the cross, there were not people about proclaiming the beauty of what he was doing. People were mocking him. And that this was a kind of sacredness to the secret. You were either mocking him, or you understood what was happening. And if you understood what was happening, then you partook in the sacrifice by understanding it. Now at this tournament, I felt very much like I was introverted thinking. And I relearned two things. First was about contentment, and that it's much more than what I talked about in my video last week. It's much more than just trust and assurance that God will provide. It's a gift from God. That contentment has at least part of it that cannot be enough in trusting God, but that trust in God and contentment in that is a gift from God. And second is that when loving my sister or my brother, I am and must be sufficient unto myself. That love for my neighbor is independent of them. And it opens up love eternal. Or perhaps just vast love that feels eternal. Because their very existence is the only necessary part that they play in being loved. My arm is starting to hurt from holding up this camera. And my hand is starting to hurt because it's so cold. I don't think I have anything else to say. Goodbye.